Well, it's that time of the month again. Oh no, no, not that time of the month. The time of the month where we just update my project No Pan Left Behind. And if you don't know me, hi everybody, I'm Gilgassita. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to this beauty space where I just love to share with you my love for makeup. Could be old makeup, new makeup, every kind of makeup. If you like this kind of content, don't forget to subscribe and to turn on the notifications. In this way, you can get to know whenever I do a new video. And if you like this kind of projects, don't forget me to leave me your thumbs up. And yeah, today we're gonna update my No Pan Left Behind. And this month, the palette that I had to use for my No Pan Left Behind was those one here. And then I should try to use some of my newer palettes. And I feel pretty good this month because I didn't use a lot of makeup this month. It just I don't know, it just didn't feel like it. And makeup for me is something fun, so I will not use because I had to. I will just use because I feel like to. It's not a job, it's just a hobby, and it's a hobby that I love. It's the time that I dedicate the time that I dedicate for myself. And sometimes the words cannot be all about the me. So I didn't use as much makeup as I wish to. Let's talk about the first look that I created using this palette here. Every palette has the color that you think about whenever you're thinking about the palette. I don't know about you, but my mind works like that. When I think about a palette, I think in a specific color. I could do a video about it. Specific colors that came in my mind when I look a palette, and the color that always come to my mind when I'm using this palette here is this silvery sagey green shade here. Let me swatch it for you. I don't know why, but I feel that this color is so unique for this palette. Can you see? It's like a warm, sagey, silvery color. It's really beautiful, and I know it's not that much unique color, but I feel that I only own one or two of this one here in my collection. So the first look that I created using this palette, of course, I have to incorporate this one here. So I used pretty much all the mattes. I used the two neutral mattes, and then yeah, the three matte greens, and then I placed it in here in my inner corner. But I was not the look was not as shebang as I like, so I really felt like I needed to add something else. So I decided to add a little bit of stay there. I decided to add a glitter line. This one here is from Urban Decay. Is the shade Lemon Rock. I don't know if they still do this. This is just like a silvery glittery liner. It's no. What is the glitter? It's not the best product that I own, but I want own it, and I really wanted to use it. So this was what I used. Then I recorded a 3 look one palette using this eyeshadow palette here. And I have so much fun because the Poison Garden, it's an amazing palette, and it's really fun. And all the looks that I create, pretty much all the looks that I created with this palette were really grungy and dark and mysterious and fun. And I love this kind of color. And I do love the formulas of Bella Beauty Bar, not all, only when it comes to the matte, to the shimmers formula, because of course their special formulas is one of the best in the market. In my opinion, it's one of the best. Their matte formula is even best than their special shade. This is how good their matte formula are. their matte formula, it's really pigmented, but still it's buildable and easy to blend, which is amazing. It's so freaking much. It's so unusual because when colors are really pigmented, they are hard to blend, and those one here they are not. They pretty much blend into each other. And I will say that the matte formula from Bella Beauty Bar is of course one of my top 3 matte formulas, and the colors are magnetic, which I do love, and I hope every single brand do magnetic palette because I can get bored pretty easy, but I still love the shadows and I like to play with my shadows and build my own palettes. It's a really fun way to play with my shadows. And when I did the 3 looks, the only 3 shades that I didn't use were those like the gray down here, and then the green, and the holographic plum blue kind of shade, beautiful shade, but I didn't use in that video. So I knew that it only needs to be 3 colors to complete this palette. So in the next look I decided, oh no, I'm saying it wrong. The next look that I created was not using the Poison Garden. I used where is it? I used the 3 neutral colors from my Nopal Left Behind palette, the Child palette, and then I used this one here as either corner. And again, when I used that palette, the look was cute, don't get me wrong, but I was feeling like I needed something more. I need a little bit of a oomph. I decided that it was time to use one of my
Wow.
favorite oomph palettes. When I say one of my favorite oomph, it's one of those palettes that I will pick up from my collection and I will say that now it's your time. And pretty much all the shadows in this part here are really not glittery. I want to say glitter, but they are not glitters. They are mica, but they are really sparkle and special. So I decided to blend it a little bit in the back of my hand, and I placed over the look just what was left on the finger. In this way, I had this kind of scattered eye look, and I adore it. It was like a neutral look, but a neutral look with personality, and I love a neutral look as with personality. As you can see today I'm feeling myself with this really neutral look that has a lot of love it. I'm young. I was like, okay, I need to do a green look because the only shade that I didn't use was this green here, and it's not ugly, don't get me wrong. It's not a really ugly shade, but it feels more like a satin shimmer shade. Can you see even the one above it from the same palette? It's a little bit more shimmery and metallic, while this one here feels really shimmer satin. It's one of those colors that it's too shimmer to be a matte, too matte to be a shimmer. It's one of those colors that you look like I I was not feeling it, so I used them for that look. The deep dark green here that I didn't use before. And I was convinced that this color here was a matte, but it was not. So in the video, I was like, oh, that's not a matte. What am I gonna do? So I decided to use this green here again. And then I put this color here all over my lid. But again, I was feeling that I needed something more. I needed a oomph, but I was not. I was like, okay, I cannot take my Minka palettes again. I cannot take this one here again. I needed to take something else from my collection. So, as Adapt Cosmetics palette, and I use the shade Smith down here. And honestly, I didn't love it because I feel that layering the shades meat over the green here, because I layer the shades meat just in the middle over the green here, and the look was not that wow, as I would prefer to use this color here by itself, because I feel that this green here ruins the look. Honestly, I feel that it makes the color less shifty, less amazing. I was not completely in love with the result that I have it, but I still like it. I still enjoy it. I was not just heads over it. And then I was like, okay, now I really need to use the colors that were left from my Poison Garden palette, because I wanna finish more than one palette for the project this month. So I was like, I needed to use it. And I started by using this gray here. But I don't know why I was so surprised, but I was like, oh boy, that's pigmented. That's crazily pigmented. And honestly, it was crazily pigmented. And I use it on my crease and I feel way too much. Then I don't then I was like, okay, I used that blue here in my looks, but I only used that color here in a really small part of my eye, and I was like, okay, I want to use it more because cobalts blue are known to be a beautiful color that sometimes get a little bit patchy, so they are kind of a. And I was like, I should use it," and I use it, and I was so glad to see that. A bit about the not does not disappoint you because the color wasn't patchy at all. The color was amazingly, and they created a halo eye, and in the middle of my halo eye, I placed that color here. So I finished this palette. Yay for me! And I used a little bit of the shade here in the outer parts of my lid, just to help the shimmer blend into the matte a little bit better. And it was so happy. I loved the look, how bright and fun, and still, I will say, to me, oh no, I hope it will go away. I will say that to me the look was really wearable, really, really wearable. I will take a pause, hope that this noise stops, and then I'm gonna come back and and we're gonna randomize a new palette for the month of December. Even though I wanna tell you that I wanna use more palettes, but we're gonna talk about it after that noise stops. I took a fast break and I drank some coffee because the noise was too noisy and I needed a little bit of coffee. And now it's time to talk about the future, what we're gonna use on the month of December. First of all, I wanted to continue to try to use all the shadows from my newer palette, and whenever I complete one, I'm gonna come back and update you in that project. There are three palettes that I wanted to use. I will not say that I'm gonna completely use them, but I wanna reach out to them for them more because it's the month of December. December is the month of my birthday. I will be 37 years old on the 2nd of December. And yeah, so I really wanted, but December is not only the month of my birthday, it's the month of Christmas, New Year's, and it's time to stay more with your family. It's time to enjoy yourself more. And if you're not Christian, or if you don't celebrate Christmas, it's not a huge deal. It's still time to dedicate more your time for your family. So I hope you do so. And when it comes to my makeup, I wanna really deep more into the makeup palettes because I adore this palette here. It's so good, and I love it, and I want to deepen my foot more in this palette here. And there are two palettes that I never ever use. So if I don't use during the month of December, I will never use them. I'm talking about the two palettes from Oda's Eye. This is the Christmas Eve and the Merry Christmas palette. I love the color story of those two palettes here, and this is the third year that Oda's Eye released their palette for Christmas. But honestly, those were the two best color stories that they ever came out in this period of the year, if not ever. Look at this. How perfect for this time of the year. So I really want to dip my foot on that, and I hope that I will be able to complete at least one of those two palettes here and use this one here more, even though I have to be honest, I use this one here all the time. As I already told you, whenever I need a little bit more of a shimmery sheen, I will reach out for my makeup palette. So it's not that I have to use it. It's like I probably gonna use it, but I have to dip my toes in those one here. So I hope to finish to completely no pan left behind at least one of them. Ideal is that I completely finish this one here, so this one here I can use it in January too, because if this color story here doesn't screams um January time, I don't know what does. Okay, I want to randomize a palette using my phone. Of course, I will just keep the randomized palette if it's like a 6 or 9 per. Oh, before we randomize a palette, I have to apologize again. It's like I take the palette that I want. It's not the palette that I randomize, because for the second time I randomized the Wild Child palette and I grabbed the Child palette. The Wild Child palette, it's a neutral color pop palette. It's a cute palette and I love it, but for some reason I read why the child, and I was like, screw that, I'm gonna use the child. Well, my brain completely forgot, and after 2 or 3 days when I already have done the first look using the palette, I remembered that the Wild Child palette was another palette. Ikes. At the end of the day, I completely left behind this one here, and that palette is a 9 pound, and this one it's a 9 pound too. So it is what it is. Okay, but now let's randomize the palette, hoping that this time I pick the right one. I will keep the randomized palette if it's a 6 or 9 pound, not more than 9, because it's too much, and I wanna use more of those palettes that I showed you, and I wanna use the newer one too. So let me grab them. I use the app Tiny Decisions. Press the button. Which palette's gonna be? Oh no, the Hanging in Hawaii from BH Cosmetics. I feel it's a 16 pound palette, so it's not gonna work for this month. We're gonna randomize another one. Let's do this. Reset the wheel. Okay. Amore in the Mouth. It's another 16 pound palette by BH Cosmetics, and that's not gonna work either. Sorry. Palette by Juvia's Place. Tribal palette should be a 9 pound palette. Let me check. I think that it's a 9 pound palette. The tribal palette, it's a huge palette, but it only has 9 colors. And honestly, I can make it work with the other palettes that I decided to use this month. So I'm pretty glad with my choices, and I hope this video was fun for you to watch. And this is the end of the video, of course. And if you like this kind of project, give your thumbs up. Let me your comment down below. I want to read all your thoughts about these videos, and see you soon. Bye bye.